Hello, everybody. Welcome to 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, holiday edition. I got a good guest again today. My brother Nico. Actually met him a couple weeks ago in a panel discussion. Big shouts out to Keola. Big shouts out to Jessica. We had a kind of a round table this of people of color in the sober community. And let me tell you, it was a great conversation. Just like the conversation that me and Nico are gonna have. It's definitely gonna be fun. He should be tuning in real soon. Hello, Vam413. Alex, what's up? How you doing in Canada? I always appreciate the love and support. You guys can shop the merch, 12facesofsober.com. You can get hoodies, t-shirts. You can get beanies. I got hats. I got tights for women. Got a little bit of everything. I'm probably going to change and put a sale probably starting tomorrow. Have one probably for the whole entire weekend, Thursday through Monday, probably, give or take. So just stay tuned to that. I'll probably announce it. I'm going to do a real big discount to probably about 40% off of all merchandise this weekend. So we'd love the support. 12facesofsober.com. Alex, if you don't mind typing in 12facesofsober.com for me, I greatly appreciate it so that I don't have to be pointing on my phone like that. But yeah, we're gonna just jump right on into the interview. I see Nico just joined us, so let's go ahead and do this. And by the way, the best authors do wear beards. Nico, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man, super blessed, bro. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. It's cold out here. Unfortunately, I seem to be starting to pick up a little cold. So I'm hoping that I want to eat good tomorrow. So I need to make sure that I'm gonna go get me some cough drops or something. But I'm definitely getting this bug out my system. So how's everything out your way?
Man, we consider it cold, but your cold and my cold are two different things, dog. When it drops below like 40 degrees over here, I call it cold. Um,
Right. Yeah, it's cold right now. I was outside probably about an hour ago. It was 28.
nah, I'm cool on that, man. I'm cool on that. But hey, on that note,
Mm.
when it's cold, one of the meals that I love to have is a green chili stew. Is there any
Mm.
meals out there that you like to have when it's really cold?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't even have one. I honestly I don't. I would say soup, but I don't eat soup. I would say chili, but I don't eat chili like that. I like to drink coffee.
Hey, that works, man. Get it in the.
Yeah, for sure. So, as I was mentioning, we were on a panel discussion. Was it a couple weeks ago? I never met you, but it was like we clicked instantly, as if like, okay, you one of the homies. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up with. It was just the great chemistry, and I knew for sure, like, yeah, I need to have you on and hear your story. I know, you being that it was four of us, we couldn't really get in depth. So like I said, the show is totally on you. What I want to do is, start by, you know, a background on yourself. Oh, actually, I'll take that back. Let me say this. Nico is a speaker. He's an author, and he's an advocate for sobriety. And like I said, I what I've been trying to do lately is shine a light on people of color, especially men of color, to have this discussion about sobriety because it's out there. People are talking, but there needs to be more talking about it so that like these youngsters that are out there in their 20s is still partying, doing a thing, that they can hear it like, okay, all right, we got some OGs that's talking. Okay, yeah, we had that lifestyle, but we no longer are in that lifestyle. And so that's kind of, what I've been leaning towards real heavily lately. And so without further ado, like I said, Nico, you got the floor. I want you to go ahead and start with, where you from, um, you know, what's your sober date, and then we'll just dive right into the interview.
Sweet, sounds good, man. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I want to acknowledge that you took the time and shared your space with me. So thank you so much for that. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, the Duke City, bro. Down here in the
Okay,
Southwest,
okay.
and Burque is what we call it, but Duke City is easier for everybody else to pronounce. My sober date, so I guess I get two sober dates. I have
Okay.
what they call a polyuse disorder. My first one is 6/13/12, and that's when the last time that I stopped injecting heroin into my body. The second sober date would be in 2017. Um, no, I think, yeah, 2017 was the last time I went on a binge drink episode. That was about May of 2017. So I got a little bit over 5 years, I think, around 5 years from abstaining from alcohol, and then 10 years, coming up on 11 years from abstaining from opiate use. So those are my two sober dates, and that's where I'm from, man.
That's what's up. Yeah, I've actually been to Albuquerque. I stayed there a couple times. I think the architecture is really dope. It has a real colorful, bright brightness to the city. I definitely that's what I remember because I drove actually. This was in I think 2000. I drove through Albuquerque coming to Minnesota when I moved up here the first time, and I used to do a few things going through. I'll say it, my ex-wife, she used to live in Las Cruces. I mean, work in Las Cruces. So, and then of course driving through. Driving from El Paso to Phoenix, you know, we all, you know, I-10, you got to go through New Mexico, you know what I'm saying? So I have some experience. Hey, what's going on? Miss Lady out there overseas, salute. She's I won't say the country, but she's overseas serving the country. So, you know, good looking out. Thank you for your service. We do appreciate you tuning in. Um, but yeah, so what was it like growing up out in Albuquerque? You know, I have those vivid memories. Like I said, I've resided in Phoenix 3 different times in my life. And it was, you know, the alcohol or the drinking climate is really heavy. I don't know why is it because of it, a hot desert city or whatever it is. But how was it for you growing up, as far as, you know, the usage around you and your, you know, in family, stuff like that?
The usage around me growing up with family. Immediately, there wasn't alcohol in the house. There wasn't any
Mhm.
drugs in the house. Uh, so that's my immediate exposure to it, right? But outside of the house, my uncles drank, my cousins drank,
Yeah.
the people that I worked with after we got off work, they drank. Um, the smell of skunk was always around. You could always smell one of the cousins come in. One of the family members, one of the friends coming in like that. There was always the talk of who you hide the bottles from, stuff like that. Or something would crack off and immediately we would exit. So those were kind of my exposures to it at a younger age.
Okay. And then you mentioned something that was interesting. You said who to hide the bottles from. I was that guy sometimes, you know, they knew like, all right, because like my sister, for example, she has a fully stocked bar in her basement and stuff. And, you know, they drink and that's their business. But I knew that, you know, that there were points in my life when I was abusing it and they're like, nah, you can't go downstairs. Don't go nowhere near downstairs because we already know what you're going to get into down there. And, and I guess, you know, what I wanted to ask you is like, how is it that, you know, it seems to be like a commonality amongst, you know, us people of color where, you know, it's ideal to have those functions in terms of, okay, there's always going to be alcohol, potentially drugs present. But there's not always that conversation like, okay, this person has a drinking issue. They're just going to hide it. You know, why do you think that it's like, it's one of those like a hard or touchy subject to really address?
You know, that is a age old question right there, my friend. Um, I can speak from my own experience and just my background because I'm not the first thing that my family's had to hide.
Hmm.
There's been other instances generationally that I wasn't exposed to until I got put on that list, and they were like, "Oh yeah, just FYI, it aligns with a lot of these other things." So I'm not too sure why we like to hide it under the rug. I'm not too sure why culturally we want to avoid the shame because it comes out. That's what it is. It's shame, right? We don't want to bring that shame onto our family. At least in my background, we are very proud people. You always put your best foot forward and you keep everything in the house, right? Like you don't fight with your brothers, your cousins outside of the house. You take that into the backyard. And anytime we're anywhere else, our family is a united group, right? So I think that that contributes to it. That, well, if you have the problem, then they're going to see that we might have some division. There might be some brokenness. And I think that a lot of people of color don't want to share that. They don't want to show that because there has been a keeping up with the Joneses, right? That's what they used to call it. Now we have this illusion of perfection that we get to see on social media all the time. Now we get to see these YouTube families. We get to see these reality shows. There's these illusions of perfection now that just drill in that we don't need to be that family. We don't need to be associated with any of that stuff. We need to align more with what the culture thinks is correct. And I think that drives to alcohol too, to be quite honest with you. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit deep real fast, but the term marijuana, it comes because the individuals from the South, Mexico, would come up and work and they'd smoke it. Well, marijuana was used to associate it with a certain culture. The correct term for it is cannabis, right? There's a division, is what I'm saying. That there's ways that wedges have been driven to segregate people. And language is one of them. These socially correct standards are another one. Like when you go to a party, it's okay to have a drink. Where did that ever come from? You know what I'm saying? When did alcohol become the okay thing and cannabis did not? When did all these rules get established? And I think that drives into the stigma and shame that has people of color hide these issues.
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I had Nico on the show, because he's dropping gems and we're just getting started. Now, was like growing up, did you like at what age did you like start to experiment? Like, you know, using alcohol, drugs, you know, because I know that and I haven't shared this too much really, but it was almost like the same year I started. Big shouts out to one of my best friends. His sister peer pressured me into smoking weed, and I like literally had to walk 2 miles home. It came in a house and no one smelled it. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with alcohol. I experimented, or first time I got drunk, I was 12 years old. So how was that for you? Like when did you truly get involved, experimenting with it?
Well, I started to experiment with drugs first because I had the exposures that alcohol was bad, right? Like I had seen some things where I was like, oh yeah, alcohol isn't my thing. But drugs, we never had that talk, and I didn't know some history that my family had. So I started to experiment with cannabis and smoking nicotine when I was 14 years old. And then I think it wasn't until I was about 16 that I started experimenting with alcohol. And that was just because it was at parties, right? I was the one who wanted to go. I preferred cannabis and drugs over alcohol, so I was always out back smoking when other people were inside drinking. And then to go around girls and stuff like that, I'd drink and hang out with them. So about 14 to 16 is when I really started to experiment and create those dependencies in my head.
And then like during that time, did you see it as like, peer pressure? Because like I said, I grew up in San Diego. So, we was going to the kickbacks and all that stuff. And, somebody was able to get a keg and we're like 14, 15 years old. Somebody was able to get the weed 14, 15 years old. And it's like, okay, I remember smoking weed out of apples, smoking weed out of 2-liter bottles. But the crazy part about it is that like, what were we thinking at 14 and 15 years old, having access to that, let alone doing it? So was it more of a peer pressure thing, or like you said, was it okay? You at a party, you see a cute young lady or something, and you like, okay, well, everybody else is doing it, I might as well do it myself.
Got you. So my experience was a little bit different than all of that. I started working when I was 10 years old, cleaning yards. And so by 14 years old, I had a full-time job over the summer.
Mm,
And you can imagine a 14-year-old with 500 bucks in his pocket every week, what I was getting into. So I had a cousin that would drive me around because I didn't even have a
mhm,
car, but I had a bunch of
okay.
cash. I say that because um, the way I got started was I wanted to figure out, well, two sides of it. When I was at work, I was working construction, and
Mm,
the older workers, after work, they would always crack open a beer. That was a very common thing for them. Go to the truck, open up the cooler, and there was a 6 or 12 pack, right? And they would drink because it released toxins, they said, made them feel more loose, muscles, whatever it was, the old what do they call them, the home remedies for this type of work and stuff, because it was tough work. It was labor, construction. We were pouring concrete, laying foundations, things like that. So my first exposure was seeing it that way, right? I saw the elders, older people around me drinking and giving wisdom on why they did it. They never gave me the wisdom on like, hey, this is how you know you're over drinking, or hey, this is how you become dependent on it. The other side of it is that I saw alcohol, drugs as a entrepreneurial venture. So
mm,
when I take my paychecks from work, I'd always stash a little bit of it. That stash I would take to school and I'd buy me a pack of cigarettes prime times for $3, and then I'd slang them for 50 cents. So to
mm,
me, I saw the world of alcohol and other drugs, illegal substances, as an opportunity. Uh,
mm,
the individuals that could get their hands on bottles, that was me and the homies, right? I had the cash, and we always knew somebody older. Um, Drugs, we always knew the drug dealer, so it was very easy to get the cash out of my own bucket and then flip it or sell it at a party and get high for free, drink for
mm,
free. So that was my kind of experience around alcohol and other drugs. I saw it as a venture as well as a way not to have to pay.
mm. Yeah, you just gave me a I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if I should say this, but seeing that I lived in San Diego and I was 15 minutes from the border, there was some organizations that infiltrated our school, and we had individuals that was a part of it. And I say this all the time. I don't want no affiliation with them. Even though I see them on social media, they will not be my friends because what was I thinking to, be in a class with a pistolero? Like I just learned this, this term recently. And I was like, wow, like nobody said anything that this dude is holding a pistol, but everybody knew by just the way that he dressed that he was not somebody to really mess with. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, but I guess that's what happens when you're like living on a border city and those type of things is there. Big up to Sean. I'm interviewing him later on tonight, so I'll see you soon, so you get a feel of how we do the shows. But so now, thanks for sharing that too, because I know that some of the things you mentioned is kind of would be kind of tough to share, but I appreciate that. Now, was that in your school? Was that a problem? Like you have this entrepreneurial spirit in you, or that hustle in you, and did it become a problem? Because I know that like this is no joke. In seventh grade, our school got on lockdown because they was pushing drugs through there, LSD and all this stuff. And I'm 12 years old seeing this, and so how was that for you?
It was very much present. The age group that I grew up in was the pills, right? So after I got the pressed on swag moving, then I got the cannabis kush moving, I learned about pills. And
Mm,
so pills were very frequent in our school, as well as many other schools. In my community, it's very frequent because there's no Xanax makes you feel like you're drunk. That's what we were taught. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So it was very prevalent and very much around in schools. Now, the other side of it is that there was a different side to me, right? That was
Mhm.
one side that I lived on, but the other side is that I was a pretty good athlete. I started wrestling
Mm.
when I was 7 years old. So all through elementary school, middle school, high school, people knew me as an athlete, a wrestler. So I had that covering my back for most of the part. And I say that because there was instances where security guards would be wondering, like, Nico, why are so many people stopping at your locker?
Mm.
I'm like, I don't know, bro. You want to stop and check on something too? There might be something in there for you.
Mm.
There was the two sides of it, right? Like they didn't want to bother the athlete, but they also knew something was up. So that was my experience and the influence of drugs. Man, there's so many people that I went to school with that aren't alive anymore.
Mm.
And I say that like, yeah, it's still happening. Right
Yeah.
now, the alcohol related deaths are skyrocketing for the age bracket of like 29 to 64. It's ridiculous. One in every 5 males is not going to be around in the next like 5 years due to some sort of alcohol related consequence. And just thinking about that right now, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, bro. This is one of the most dangerous nights to be out, because everybody is at their home city, gathered, about to drink and have fun with their boys. Like, it's very common. Like, sorry, that's where my mind went, but that's how common it is. I know tonight's not a night to be out.
Yeah, and let me tell you, because look, my mom just called me like literally like 10 minutes before our interview and was like, I need you to go to the grocery store. And I was like, wait a minute, you said you was going to the grocery store yesterday. Well, I forgot X, Y, and Z. So mind you, I have an appointment over by her house at like 1:30. I'm going to the grocery store once we're done with this interview. And then after that, I'm going to drop the stuff off, go to my doctor's appointment, and I'm coming home and I'm not leaving at all tonight because I understand there's people. I know that this used to be like one of those. I used to work in radio, so a lot of club nights go on at night. Comedy shows used to come here in Minnesota. I don't know if anything's going on tonight. I haven't really seen no flyers, but see, I know better. I know not to be on the road. Because like I said, last night I was helping the homeless and I said, oh, I'm not going to be on the road at no 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So I'm definitely going to be home no later than about 3 and I'm not leaving. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't, no, I'm good. I will pop on a movie and call it a day because I don't want no parts. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely not, it's not safe. And for those ladies and gentlemen that are traveling today, please be safe. You know, if you're going out tonight, call an Uber. Don't even drive. You know what I'm saying? And even then, call a couple Ubers if you don't want to get into one. You know what I'm saying? So how was it like, okay, now you're in school, you got the hustle. Like, was there at any point, like you said, people were suspicious, but did they ever, like, did you ever get in trouble? Or did they do, because I know that they used to do like those random sweeps in the lockers to make everybody open them up. You know what I'm saying? So was it ever a point like that for you?
I had somebody in the administration helping me out.
That's crucial. Mm, mm. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it, man. Dang. Uh, Man. So did so now after high school, what was life like afterwards?
Spiraled out of control afterwards. You see that wrestling scholarship that I told you I had, man?
Mm.
I blew it. I was a badass wrestler. 17 years old, I had a full ride scholarship to Northern Colorado University. Only thing my parents were gonna have to come out of pocket for was food and books. This is in 2007. There's no type of like lottery scholarships. There's no type of educational outlets. It was athletics or the streets. That's literally how I kind of grew up. Not for any other reason. I don't want to create that ambiance that, oh, it was a struggle. I had two very hardworking parents from a middle class household though. There wasn't $100 extra $1,000 just to send Nico to school. Does that make sense? Like,
Right.
in my world, money was a conversation all the time, and it was a stressful conversation. So for me, I saw those avenues, those ventures, as ways to relieve stress. I don't have to depend on somebody, my parents, right? That's how I saw it all. So by no means was it Jay-Z style or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? No way was I too short over here. I was really just trying to patch some things together to get a better outcome. And when that better outcome came, I forfeited it because of my own pride. I got into an altercation with the head wrestling coach at that season. They had just hired a brand new one, and I was like, "This buster." I still think of him like that to this day. But it was really a personality clash that we had, and because of that personality clash and the way that I function, and the influences that I had already had around me, I thought where I was at was going to be the best that I could be at, and so I settled. I said later to the Full Ride Wrestling Scholarship, I quit wrestling and I went to full-time working. Got me a job 9 to 5, and I kept on the hustle on the side. At that point, I was moving Oxycontin, and I get 120 Oxy 80s from one of my individuals. I would smoke maybe about 4 of them myself and get high on my own supply. Well, I moved those in a couple of days and just go do it again. I say that because at this point in life, I find myself missing rent, find myself behind on bills because I am ingesting extended amounts of Oxycontin. Gets to the point where I'm 20 years old, blisters popping up on my body, cysts, altercations that you guys can only imagine from that lifestyle, and just a bunch of headaches, man. Just a bunch of headaches and life aches and heartaches. That's what really comes from that decision to live that way. But I found myself sleeping in my truck. Like my parents weren't allowing me to go to their house. Nobody wanted me around. One of the best people, he broke it down to me. He's like, "Nico, you're messing up too much and I can't be around you." And I love that man for it. I don't talk to him. Me and him don't have any conversations, but I'm very grateful for that last conversation that we had. But I continue to live on the streets, doing all the nasty stuff that comes along with it. At this point in my life, Kevin, I'm sitting using 60 cc's every 2 hours, bro, through a 33 gauge needle in my truck just to stay well. And I had enough people pass away near me, around me, and so consistently that I realized there was some reason that I'm still here. Like, there's got to be a reason that I'm still alive. After all the stuff that I had been through, the circumstances that I had survived, I was like, all right, I'm going to give up on trying to do this myself. Let me be guided by this higher power, as they call it, right? So I started exploring what that was. I met my creator. He guided me into a safe place where I only depend on him. And I get to talk to him on a daily basis. But unfortunately, we get in the way of our own selves doing better. So I put down the needle, but I picked up the bottle. And that's when I started drinking, bro. So at 22, 23, alcohol is the only drug that I can take that nobody gives me hassle for. It's the only way that people are actually allowing me to hang out. Like, it's my only escape now. So 22 to 27, man, I'm drinking daily. Get up to 2 bottles every day, 2 fifths of Admiral Nelson every day. It's where I'm at. I have epileptic seizure at work, and they send me to the hospital. In the hospital, they tell me that, "Hey, Nico, you're dealing with alcohol withdrawals. We have to give you 4 bags of IV to get you rehydrated." And in that same moment, man, it's as embarrassing as it is to say, but I want to keep it honest and real. I couldn't even control my bowels. So I was in this hospital room, defecating on myself, having to be cleaned up by nurses, unable to really move. And I realized, you're no better off than you were, bro. You're no better off than when you were using. So why are you here again? Why are you having to relearn this lesson again, just with a different teacher? At that point, I was like, all right, something's got to change, and it's got to be me. Like that's the most consistent variable in all of these situations is me. So let's start doing some introspective work. Let's start working on why you feel like you need to drink every time you have an argument with somebody. Why do you feel like you need to drink to settle your spirit? Why do you feel like you need to drink to be accepted inside of communities? When I started asking myself these questions, I started answering them. Nico, you felt rejected most of your life. Nico, you don't love yourself enough to believe that someone else can love you. Nico, for sure, you don't trust yourself. That's why you don't trust anybody else. You're so worried about being criticized all the time that you criticize yourself the most. Bro, at that point, I realized that I had lost control over myself. I had lost the authority over my own being. And I had lost trust in myself. That wasn't about to happen anymore. This point in my life, man, those seizures that I told you about, they started happening more consistently. Now I'm having to drink every 2 hours, bro. A pint every 2 hours just to not have the tremors in my hand, not have my jaw lock up, not seize out. I can't live like this, bro. At that same,
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, I was not because it's interesting that thanks for sharing that too, because I was in the hospital but mine was due to my pancreas, from excessive drinking, stomach tight, dang near about to explode, whatever. But even though that happened, I got out the hospital from dang near dying after 9 days. I still wanted to drink. And though that's exactly what you just said to me. You still wanted to drink, despite the fact that you know what I'm saying? So that's crazy, man. Like how powerful that drug, because alcohol is a very serious drug, that it has that much control of you, that despite the fact of you having any type of medical issues, there are some people who still drink and abuse it, regardless of whatever pain. Because you described a lot of stuff that, the withdrawals, the shaking of the hands, the excessive sweating. I mean, I can recall times of getting out the bed like I felt like I done peed on myself, but it was all just alcohol. But what was it that was like, I'm done? When was it where it was like, all right, man, I gotta put myself before this bottle?
Two situations happened that I decided I was done. I started to have this limp. My legs started hurting, bro, all the time. It popped all the time. That was one indicator. I was like, yo, my body's damaged. I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a second. But the other instance, on my 27th birthday, I was staying in a building that only had electricity. I was sleeping on a cot there, just drinking away my life. My sister and my mom knew where I was at. And my sister comes to see me for my birthday. Bro, I was so drunk, passed out at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, paranoid out of my mind. Apparently my sister opens up the front door of this building and sees me there with my finger on the trigger, laying in bed.
Sure.
Just passed out. At that point, she tells me that she called my mom, told my mom what was going on, because this wouldn't be the first situation that they see me in that state, unfortunately. And I remember that my mom calls me and she says, hey, we're coming into the house that you're at right now. Don't shoot. And that was a shock to me, bro. And it still shocks me now. But she comes walking in with my sister. The gun's still there. And she's like, we're not letting this stop us. We're going to go have dinner. They picked me up and they took me to dinner. That's when I was like, oh, shoot. Nico, you're really messed up, man. There's really some pain inside of you that if that's the only way you know how to heal is by drinking and passing out, that you need to find another way to heal.
Mm.
So that was the emotional moment. I call it Emmett. It was my extreme moment in time. Extreme moment in time emotionally, because I don't want my family to be scared of me that way, right? Second thing though that happened was those hips. My hips died, bro. They stopped getting blood to them because of the amount that I was drinking and how I pass out. And because my hips died, I needed to get them replaced. I got diagnosed with avascular necrosis in 2008, stage 4. What that basically means is that my hip bones had lost all blood vessels to them, and they were just like a concrete brick trying to go into a basketball hoop every time that I took a step, every time that I walked, every time that I moved. They would just crush and compress a little bit more into the socket. That's when I realized, like, yo, bro, you can't do this anymore. You really can't. You've damaged your body to a significant point that they straight up told me you need both your hips replaced. And I was like, oh, okay.
And that was, you said that was at what age? Say that louder. Say that louder. What age it was you had to get your hip replaced?
I got my hips replaced when I was 31.
31.
Both of them replaced. I was diagnosed and told that I needed both my hips replaced when I was 28. So that's 3 years that I walked around on collapsed hips, basically. Because honestly, I didn't want to face the damage that I had done to myself. Then my sister tells me she's going to be bringing my niece into the world. Her and my brother-in-law. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Y'all, I'm a cool uncle. I'm a cool uncle. I'm a cool dude. My niece ain't going to know that version of me. So I started to change.
Man, see, I feel that's heartfelt because, like, when we're deep into it and we are punishing our bodies, we're not necessarily thinking. You know what I'm saying? We're not thinking like, oh man, the circulation in my body may stop in this area. It might not be working. But we continue, you know what I'm saying? And see that's why, like I said, I'm an uncle myself too. My niece and nephew, they're, of age now, I think 20, 23 and 20 or something like that now. So they kind of saw it, but I'm hoping that they didn't necessarily have the memories because it was bad. You know what I'm saying? But we can sit down and have a conversation now. I tell them, hey, drink if you want to, but this is what's going to happen to you if you abuse it. You know what I'm saying? I will not tell them don't drink because that would be, but I'll look out for them. If y'all, you acting a fool drinking, hey, your uncle been there, done that. I know it. So, hey, you're not doing something that I don't know nothing about, but that's the thing is, and I'm glad you're sharing this because other individuals need to know. Other people need to know that, man, what alcohol truly does. And yeah, there's some people, like you said, that tonight are going to go get their drink on. There's going to be some people that's in here I know is going to get their drink on. But, it comes a point where it's like, man, look, I want to be alive. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to enjoy the rest of my life and I don't want to do it in pain.
Yeah, that part. The being alive part, yo, I know people who are walking around dead right now. I know walking zombies. I know plenty of those. But that being alive part, bro, I didn't want to be alive and not be able to, like, life isn't full of negative pain, right? Life is full of positive pain. You see these trees, they grow, they stretch out with new branches. That's positive pain right there. When you develop a new skill, a new willpower, a new way of creating, that's positive pain, right? Because it sucks to go through. Like, let's be honest, growth stinks to go through.
Yeah.
But there's the negative pains too, right? Those are the pains of not growing, the pains of not reaching your full potential. Those are pains too. We just get to pick which pain we want to enjoy.
And so big shout out to your sister and your mom for having, having the heart and the care for you. And it was like it didn't matter to them. They were coming to get their son or brother. You know what I'm saying? And that's where some people might not have the friends and the family that's there that's going to look out for them. Or like you said, there was a point in your life when nobody wanted to deal with you. And oh yeah, somebody sent a message. But yeah, I mean that to me is what's important. And the good thing is that was one of the questions. So you did answer that. Now, did you at any point did you go to rehab? Did you go to detox? What, or did you just say, okay, the family looked out, now I gotta just quit cold turkey?
That last one. So I didn't go to. I'm sorry. They tried to force me into a detox. They tried to force me into a rehab. You know those ultimatums?
Mm-hmm.
I got those, but
Mm-hmm.
they didn't work.
Right.
I have very much a dominating spirit. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do. You could ask me for the shirt off my back, and I'm going to give it to you. But if you tell me, give me that shirt off your back, bro, me and you are going to have some words. I don't like to be told what to do whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I approached it was with that. I wasn't going to let anybody else tell me what to do. So then I better tell myself what to do. So I did that cold turkey.
Okay.
My sister and my mother, I saw them then, but I started to do the titration. They call it dosing now. Those are the other terms for it. But I reduced the amount that I was drinking on a consistent basis.
Okay.
So it's called SMART commitments. I guess the way that I teach it is SMART commitments. We set a specific, measurable, achievable, reachable, time-bound goal or commitment to yourself, and you go after that. So for me, I was drinking 2 bottles a day, right? My first commitment, my first SMART commitment was cutting that in half. So each day I wasn't going to drink more than 1 bottle. That was my specific amount. I had a way to measure it. It was something achievable because I had to acknowledge, like, look, Nico, you don't need 2 bottles every night, Nico. One's going to do what it needs to do to get you to sleep. It was relevant because, at that point in time, I was drinking too much. 2 bottles a day is too much. So cutting that in half is totally relevant, right? And it's reasonable to do. It's not excessive, right? This whole abstain, you gotta quit today. Like, bro, get out of my face with that. I didn't start this problem in one day. I'm not gonna finish it in one day. Like,
right.
So it was totally reasonable. And then for the first 2 weeks, I committed to doing that. So that's how I teach in my own lessons, my own program. I teach SMART commitments to yourself because there was nobody else keeping track, bro. Like, nobody else cared if I drank or not. Quite frankly, everybody was preparing for me to die.
Yeah. I was about to say, because look, looking back on it now, my mom flat out told me, it's like, yeah, we about to take our life insurance policy out on you. I was like, damn, you shouldn't have told me this, but I still drank anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I like what you said in terms of, wanting to people telling you, oh, you got to do it, because that's how it was for me. Like, in 2008, I was my dad forced me to go to rehab here in North Minneapolis. After 30 days, I went straight to get something to drink. 2014, I was in rehab in Virginia. I flew back from Virginia to Texas. The next day, I was drinking. You know what I'm saying? And when I was in a hospital for 9 days, very next day, I'm drinking. But this last time, I went to rehab because I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that this is what's going to help me. Not saying that it's the best thing for everybody, because like I said, it took me 3 different rehabs and a homeless shelter to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? But I got to that point to where, I abstained from drinking. You know what I'm saying? But I guess what's most important to those out there is not how you do it. It's a matter of what you do afterwards. And when you get rid of it, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people on social media will tell you, yes, you got to go to rehab. Yes, you got to go to detox. Yes, you got to take Suboxone or whatever type of, if none of that stuff works for you and you abuse it in the past, why keep trying? try something else. Try a plan that can work for you, or mold it to shape it for it to be your program, so that you can come on here and say, hey, I tried all those things. That didn't work, but guess what worked for me? And then what they could do is take what you say and say, okay, well, I don't think I want to try that, but then I want to try something else that works to me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, there are some people who have family and friends that's right there. And then there's some people that don't have family thousands of miles away. So you have to figure out, you know what I'm saying? If you really want it, you're gonna find a way to get it. I'm living proof, because like I said, I've failed numerous times. Not just, oh, I quit last week. No, I quit 5 different times, if not more, and was like, okay, I'm gonna get it right eventually. And it's just so happens it worked this last time. You know, so that is key. And I really do like the fact that you shared that. Now, how how does your how does your family see you today, in terms of, okay, they saw you at your weakest and lowest point, and now it's a whole different tune. So how do they see you now?
Yeah, it's probably a better question for them, dog. My perception, my reception is different. I'll tell you guys that. I don't know about
Hmm.
their perception of me. I know that they have expressed that they're proud of me. They're proud of the change that I've done, all that stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but their reception of me is way different, for sure.
Hmm.
My old man, he's still alive. I'm blessed for that. But he don't live in this. He doesn't live in the same state that I do. So I talk to him when I talk to him. Um,
Okay.
we also have those strains. Like, let's be honest. Or I'm sorry, I'm gonna be honest. There's still strains from I put my family through a lot.
Right.
So there's still strains there. And that stuff is stuff that I need to acknowledge, because I was the one that contributed to them, right?
Hmm.
So that relationship is growing and bonding there. My mother, bro, my mom loves being around me. I love her too, but she still sees me as her. Uh, there's a little boy that she still sees sometimes, and then there's this
Hmm.
grown man that she's like, "Oh shoot, you're kind of like a real grown man." I'm like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, just a little bit." So the reception there is warm. My sister and her family, that reception is warm. Um, Yeah, so it's overall been better. I will tell you this, that when you stop having negative influences and negative outbursts, people receive you a lot better in general.
Yeah.
So if alcohol is one of the reasons why people say they don't want to hang out with you when you're drinking, why don't you stop drinking and see if they receive you a little bit better? Um,
Yeah. That's big facts right there. Now what activities have you picked up now that you've been clean and sober?
since I've been clean and sober, bro, I published a book, 5 Things to Know Before You Get Sober. So that is one of the activities that I picked up, is writing. I love to write. I love to express myself, my thoughts through words. So I do that through writing. I have a podcast, No Halo New Mexico, No Halo NM. And then I also have a program that I run. So the activities that I do is now serving those in steps that are behind me, right? Steps that I've already
Hmm.
overcame. So I provide free resources to individuals to stop drinking. I host groups within the community. I do community advocacy for sober living. I do consulting now. I basically took all the knowledge that I have, and I flip it and I go talk to the people who are on the other side trying to help out. Those are the activities that I now fill myself with.
Now here's a real hotbed question. Do you think you would be able to do any of those things if you were still actively using?
Not to the excellence that I do them at now.
That's what that's the answer I wanted to hear,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Now, 5 things to know before you get sober. You listed 5. It's a choice. It's uncomfortable. Yeah, if uncomfortable, You're going to be vulnerable. You got to get to know yourself. There is joy in recovery. And I like those. I really do, because I would the probably the one that probably stood out the most is you get to know yourself. See, I knew that I can still, it took a while for me to have fun, because I was so used to, okay, going to the parties and I had to be intoxicated to have a good time. But now I can still have fun. I can still crack jokes, but I'm just not having that bottle next to me, or that beer can next to me, or that glass, to where it's like, okay, I gotta hit this Hennessy real quick, or I gotta hit this 211 in order for me to act crazy. I could just be crazy without nothing in my system and still have fun and not worry about, dang, am I going to have a hangover? You got to worry about if I'm driving, what kind of car shaped behind me, if there are lights or anything. So I think that I would say in these 6 years of this journey that I've truly gotten to know myself. I had to address some of those issues that was holding me down for so many years. But then I also realized, okay, it was this and it was that and it was me too, but it was certain things that was just really pulling me down that made me want to go out there and punish my body. But now knowing that, okay, I can accomplish a lot more things that are positive by just eliminating that one negative thing. To me, it's the most beautiful life there can be. And I stress that. I know people are like, man, this guy gets on here and he's talking. Nah, I'm telling you how life really is. I was a life of the party until I got excessively drunk, but I could still be the life of the party without that substance, and that to me is what was key. And that's what stood out the most. So, how long has the book been out?
The book was released January 2020. So the book's been
Okay.
2 years now.
Okay. That's what's up. Yeah, your book came out before mine. I dropped mine August of 2020.
Oh,
And wait a minute. Wait, I know you got to have one handy. Show that, yes, please put it on. Let them see it.
always, brother.
Yes.
Always. 5 things to know
Mm-hmm.
before you get sober, man. You can find
Well, hold on. Since you're doing that, I might as well hold them. But hey, like I said, get them both. You know what I'm saying? So where can you actually get it at?
You can get it at Amazon, or you can get it at my website, nohalonm.com.
Okay. And then so what was the concept with coming up with No Halo? What's the meaning behind No Halo?
So when I started doing some work in my community, people began to call me an angel. Oh, you're an angel for the work that you do. Kevin, if I can be honest, bro, like I'm very apprehensive about my story, mainly because the way that I look at it is my story is a tragedy. Like I can tell it as a hero story because that gets people excited, but my story is really a tragedy, bro. All the opportunities that I had, all the reasons and resources that I had available to me, bro, I shouldn't be here. I'm not trying to knock where I'm at, but my story is a tragedy. I tell it as a hero story because I want people to understand that regardless of where you're at, you're going to be able to make a change. I say all of that because No Halo, man, there's a concept, that impression of perfect that everybody wants to have. I'm tired of it, dude. So I say that I got no halo because I'm not an angel. I wasn't created to be an angel. The only thing I'm going to do is better today than I did yesterday. So
I like it.
That's where
I like it.
Comes from.
And I agree with you 100% because I know for damn sure I shouldn't be living with just the many of times that, like, just thinking about in Phoenix how I would get drunk, jump on I-10 and was like, okay, and I made it to my destination and I was like, no, except for one time, dings, scratches and stuff like that. But I'm like, what would, like, there's no way I shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? If not doing some serious years behind bars, because it was like, yo, man, like anybody else wouldn't, anybody else wouldn't, anybody else would have gotten in trouble. I know plenty of my friends who got DUIs. I knock on wood to this day, I never got a DUI, despite the fact that I drove drunk over 50 to 100 times and didn't care. Like, even when I was in the military, right there in El Paso, drove on the base. When I was in North Carolina, drove on the base, but still made it. And so I agree. And that's why, like, I speak with passion when it comes to this, because it's like, yo, there are people that are not, like you said, that are not here. People that you may have hung out with, partied with, did your thing with, but their lives was taken and yours isn't. So now you're using your life experiences to help others, to prevent them for even getting to that point. And that to me is key. And I salute you, like, seriously, because it there has to be, it segues to my next question, but there's needs to be more of us being vocal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we messed up. We made mistakes. We hurt a lot of people in the process. Yeah, we hurt a lot of people in the process, and now we're trying to do something about it. We're trying to prevent others from going down that road. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to harm ourselves because we didn't want to be here anymore. Body parts aching. You know, like I said, we could be, you know what I'm saying, without, you know what I'm saying, we could be having cirrhosis of the liver. I mean, the way you were drinking, that I know people's parents who passed away from that. You know what I'm saying? But we're having these issues at a tender age, when, you know what I'm saying, when we shouldn't have these problems, but we do. And then getting close to the end, but why do you think drugs and alcohol targets the Black and brown communities so heavy?
We're getting to the end, so I'll give a quick answer on that.
Okay.
Since beginning of time, there has been a conflict between at least two people groups.
Mm-hmm.
As far back as you want to look, whatever culture you want to look into, there's always been a conflict between two people groups.
Mm-hmm.
You can call them the haves, the have-nots. You can call them the privileged, the non-privileged. You can call it the oppressor and the oppressed.
Mm.
There are tools that are used to go at each other. We now call those alcohol and drugs.
Mm.
That's my answer to that.
Okay. I like that. Now, this is a very difficult time for a lot of people, you know, during the holidays. You know, you find people getting sick around the holidays, you know, death during the holidays. What would be a message to those that maybe struggling during the holidays? You know, what would you want to let them know? You know,
During the holidays, what I'd like somebody to know is that you're an
yeah.
amazing human being. You are valuable. There is somebody out there who does want to see you do better, but nobody can do it for you.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the biggest struggles that we get to face during this season, is we see a lot of change going on in our families, our friends' lives, and our communities, in the environment. And we might be feeling like we're missing out on that change. So we feel sad. We might feel like we might not have control over our own life, and that might make us feel sad. We might feel like there's a sudden change that happened, and because we don't know how to process it, we feel sad. And it may even be that we're so afraid of being wrong about our own decisions that we're sad too. I want you to know that that's perfectly fine. It's okay to feel that way. What is not okay is to stay feeling that way and not asking yourself, how can I do better today?
I like that. I like that for sure. And then I think I might have touched on this, but I definitely want to. I want to let you end it on a really really good note. Um, it's two-part question. You know, you can answer it however you feel. Um, how has life changed for you getting sober, and what does sobriety look like for you today?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sobriety looks like for me today, um, a joy, a bright light. Sobriety looks like a glow. It looks like an undefined destination that I get to pursue and I get to uh, travel on at my pace. Recovery looks like freedom to me. I'm not in need of anything. I do not desire anything. I do not want anything. I really just enjoy my internal peace that comes from this recovery lifestyle. How has my life changed? Uh, I'm looked at as an expert in my community right now. So,
Mm,
because of the significance or drastic change that I've had, I now get to stand amongst some very high level individuals, and they take my word and they use it to help the community. I have way more doors open to me. My name's being mentioned in rooms and out of mouths of people that I could never imagine. I'm now an international author, bro. Like that's my life has completely turned upside down, and I'm just getting started. The the way that life changes in this when you practice recovery is what you get to define. Your wildest imaginations. I think personally, addicts, alcoholics, we're the best because we know
mm,
how to get that singular focus and get it done. When you wanted
mm,
your drink, you got it done. When you wanted to use, you got it done. You know, if you want some new views, like a different place to live, you got it in you to get it done. If
right,
you
right.
want a different lifestyle for yourself, you got it in you to get it done because you already used that muscle. Your muscle of faith or whatever you want to call it is super strong because you're here today. So your life can be changed in some amazing ways, just like mine has, if you choose to practice focusing on the best version of yourself every day.
Mm. Nico, man, I want to say I didn't know. I knew that when we did the panel, the information you shared was was on point. But dang it, I found out more about you today, and I respect you even more because of it. You know what I'm saying? And I am definitely happy and thankful that you came on the podcast and shared what you shared. I know that it will help many, you know what I'm saying, in not only in the your community in New Mexico or Albuquerque, but worldwide, because it's raw and uncut. And that's what I want. I don't want no nothing saturated. I don't want the watered down. I want the version because I want people to know the truth of what, you know what I'm saying, the ins and outs. Because like I said, there's some people who say, "Oh, I woke up today and I'm alcoholic." Nah, okay, it had to be something you were involved in. You know what I'm saying, and you laid it out there. You know what I'm saying? You laid it out from starting a job at a young age to, you know, hanging out with the OGs. You know, you just sitting there like, okay, I could take a little, you know, a sip or a drink here and there. That sip and a drink here and there, or a puff or two, turned into a whole nother spectrum. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people need to hear. They need to hear the truth. And you definitely came with the truth. And I wanted to extend a happy holidays to you and your family. I definitely look forward to working with you in the future. You know what I'm saying, on some things. I just added your co-host on your podcast, so hopefully I'll be able to get him on as well. And like I said, this is what it's all about. You know, like I said, praise again to Jessica and Keola for making that possible, and hopefully we'll be able to do a part two of that segment. You know what I'm saying? Because you have four strong voices that's just telling it like it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this sober community needs is people that's just like, you know, we're not going to hold back. It doesn't matter if we're the small percentage, but that small percentage is out here talking very loud, and we're making our presence felt in this community, and that's what it's all about. And but if you don't have anything else for me, I don't know if you had any questions for me or whatever, but I got to go get these groceries for my mom before I go to my doctor's appointment. So, well, like I said, bro, I appreciate you coming on, man. Real talk, and this has definitely been a good experience to get to know a new friend in the sober community. Because this is what it's all about: is making good, positive friends that I know that if outside of this, you would be rocking with me in my corner. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. So, like I said, man, thank you. Make sure go ahead and grab that book one more time. Let everybody see. Let everybody see your book, man. 12 Phases Sober. You can get it on 12phasesober.com. And Nico's as well. He's going to shoot me the links and everything, and I'll put it in the text box when I post it on Instagram later on today. And like I said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate the people staying the whole entire time or for a few minutes, but it doesn't matter because you can always hit replay and watch it again later in the future. But like I said, bro, thanks again, and I'll definitely be in touch with you real soon. And this is 12 Faces Sober. Y'all have a good one. Peace.